Today we're talking about personal finances and how to improve them. Maybe you're here right now because you're not where you'd like to be in your personal finances. The goal is not to do jobs in the gig economy forever, but the gig economy is an amazing stepstone to achieve your first goal or goals, such as getting out of debt, saving $1,000, maybe saving up for that vacation that you want to take, or a down payment on a car, a down payment on a house, whatever it may be. The gig economy has proven to be a powerful way to step up your financial situation. I remember, just a quick backstory before I jump into the 10 best platforms for gig economy work. When I turned 30, I wasn't living a horrible life, but I took stock of my situation. I was just barely making ends meet with teaching jobs. I didn't have any savings, and I was going into credit card debt, just providing for the basics in my daily life. I was living in a small room in an old small apartment shared with two other girls, and it was a time that I look back on fondly. However, that's not where I wanted to be moving forward in life, 10, 20 years into the future. So I had to stop and think, I don't want to be on the same path, struggling to make ends meet, in debt, going just further and further into debt. What can I do today to change this path? And so definitely the gig economy is amazing. This is something that really we didn't have at that time. That was 10 years ago. At that time, because I was teaching English, I started to freelance part-time teaching English online. Nowadays, there are so many platforms where you can teach English or another language online or another subject online, or do a number of other things, either online or in person, but using the app as a platform. And it is very powerful to use these platforms because they do the marketing, they find the customers. All you have to do is show up, do the task, and then collect your pay. So without further ado, let's jump into the top 10 platforms for gig economy work. Number 1, Upwork and Fiverr. Actually, these are combined as number 1, even though I'm talking about more than one platform. The theme is that if you have experience or a good eye for graphic design, writing, editing, or other creative work, or if you specialize in something even better, like SEO, for example, you could consult on that, then you should be on Fiverr and Upwork. So even if you just make a profile and let it sit there and you don't really think too much about it, you'll probably get invitations from people looking for help in your area of expertise or what you're willing to do. So the best thing is to know that Fiverr is more for short one-off projects. A good strategy is if you can make your clients really happy and they can come back to you, or you can offer packages where there's a basic option or a more complete option that you charge more for. On Upwork, you do have the chance for longer term contract work, maybe something like social media management, where an individual business owner is looking for help and they want you to work part-time on an ongoing basis. So I feel like the sky's the limit, because I've read articles, which I can share here, about a woman who dedicated her time on Fiverr and was making well into the 6 figures. It's pretty amazing what you can do if you just learn how to work the platform. I'm going to link to that article as well as links to each of these platforms in the description, so be sure to open that up and all the resources will be there for you. Next, delivery services like Uber Eats or DoorDash. So a friend of mine did really well on both of these. He was doing both at the same time. He had 0 savings, and within a year, he was able to save up enough for a down payment on a house. So I think that was around 50,000 US dollars. It's amazing to me. But his strategy to do better than the average delivery driver, he would go specifically to the wealthiest neighborhoods to do delivery there, because he found that he was getting bigger orders, bigger tips, and actually was staying busier too, because maybe those people had more discretionary income that they were spending on the apps. So that's a strategy that definitely works. Next, we have pet care. If you are an animal lover, Rover is one of the best known platforms. Also Wag for dog walking, dog boarding or sitting. I have used this both as a dog sitter and as a client. And it's really amazing because if you develop a good relationship with a client, they will come back to you over and over, whenever they need your services. So again, this can last as long as you want. It could be ongoing for years, or you could just work to get as many clients as possible. And you can do that by starting off with a slightly lower rate, get some reviews, and then you could bump your rate up once you have a proven profile. Renting your space. So there are some caveats here, because if you are renting your apartment or if you live in a condo, there may be rules in your lease or the homeowners association that say you cannot do short-term rentals. And that's gotten a lot of people in trouble. So just read the fine print, please. But if you own your own property, your own home, you can definitely rent that out for quite a bit of income. As a short-term rental on Airbnb or VRBO. There's a few different platforms. Furnished Finders is great for longer-term stays, people who need housing for 3 months. A lot of people, like nurses or medical professionals, get 13-week contracts. And so they want those mid-term rentals, which can be really lucrative if you do it right. You can also rent out your space super short term, meaning for an hour or 2 or 3, to photographers or people making films that want to film a scene in an apartment. Just make sure to set your rules to say what you will and won't allow, such as parties or a certain number of people. Now, let's say you don't have a space that you can rent out. Maybe you have a car. A lot of people are renting their cars out on Turo. So check and see if your car fits their needs, but this could be a really interesting way. I know people who are buying extra cars just to rent them out because they're doing so well with it. Okay, my first side hustle when I was 13 was babysitting, like many young girls do, but now we have websites like care.com where you can use this platform to connect with so many people looking for help, not only with babysitting, but other jobs as well, like taking care of seniors. There's a huge need for this. So if you enjoy taking care of people, definitely check this out. Next, online tutoring. With the rise of online education, there are a plethora of websites where you can become a tutor. So if you have a favorite subject, or better yet, you have a degree or expertise or experience tutoring a certain subject. For me, that was English as a second language. There's a website, VIP Kid, that's very popular for tutoring children in English. Another website is italki, where you tutor in English or really any other language. I don't know exactly how many languages they have on the site now, but it's a lot. So if you are fluent in Spanish or French, for example, you could set up a tutoring profile there. If you are crafty, if you have an artist in you, then think about Etsy. You may have heard of Etsy.com, where you can set up a profile to sell your physical products, but also you can sell digital products like digital art prints on Etsy.com. So if you are an artist, this is an amazing way to have a side hustle. It's also somewhat passive because once you set it up, you're not actually being paid for your hours worked. Of course, you put time into creating that item, But once that is done, then it's up for sale. And if it's even better, something that can be printed over and over, like a t-shirt or a mug, that's not really more of your time going into the creation of that product. All right, here's one that anyone can do, participating in surveys. So I recently found out about Swagbucks, and it seems like a pretty fun way to just pass some time, fill out some surveys, and make some money. The downside is it doesn't pay a lot because, of course, the barrier to entry is very low. You don't need to have an advanced degree to do this, but it's still something. So why not check it out? Cleaning services. So I have used a platform called TaskRabbit, and I recently heard of another one called Handy, which I'll link to in the description, where you can sign up as a cleaner or a handy person. So if you're pretty good with, a drill and a level, you could help people hang art or hang a TV in their home, put together IKEA furniture or cabinets. There's always something that people need help with. So again, I think this goes back to also just how rewarding it is to connect with other people and help them. And obviously at the same time, you are making money. You can make quite a bit of money in the cleaning and handy person industries. So if you have any experience in this, definitely check it out. I mean, even painting projects. Painting is not super difficult. Last but not least, if you do have specialized experience in coding or software, there are sites now that are like gig economy sites for these specialized skills. One is Gigster and another is TopTool. So again, if you are a programmer, if you learn to code, get on these right away. And if you are looking for a side hustle that is a little bit more lucrative, then you might take some coding classes and then hop on these websites. If you don't know these skills yet, it always pays to invest in your education, because the more you know, generally, the more you get paid. Remember that a job in the gig economy is not forever. I think a lot of people get stuck thinking, well, I don't want to be XYZ. That's not my dream career. But this is a means to an end. You have financial goals. And believe me, when you reach them, you're going to feel amazing. So what would it take for you to reach your next financial goal? You have to break it down. It might be to save $1,000, for example, or save up for a vacation. What would it take for you to reach that goal by the end of this year? Imagine starting off the new year having met a financial goal this year and being able to work on new, bigger goals for next year. It's an amazing feeling. And this is how we climb the ladder to reach financial independence, by working on our goals, breaking them down into little pieces that we can check off easily. Okay, so I'm curious, which one of these platforms sounds like it aligns most with your interests and your skills? The great thing is they're so flexible that there's really no commitment. If you try one and then you don't really like it, or maybe it's just not working out for some reason, try another one or sign up for all of them at once and just see what happens. That is the beauty of the gig economy. You can really dabble in a lot of different jobs. You can learn a lot in a short amount of time, but most of all, you can make a lot of money and reach your goals in a short amount of time. So let's get it. Let me know in the comments if you have tried one of these. If you have more tips to share with each other, you can leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'm Gabby Wallace. I forgot to introduce myself, but hello, and I will see you next week in another video.